Cali shooting a video with Drake yesterday. He's got a Drake song coming. So why, you know, unless a label makes such an amazing offer that, you know, he can't say no, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, explain to, I need you to explain, Wendy, too, because we got a lot of artists here that's trying to make it a 360 deal. They still want a record deal for some reason. I don't know why. I be trying to explain to them.
I can't figure that out either. I guess it's just that old school mentality. A 360 deal is where the label takes half of your, like half of everything, half of publishing, half of your merchandising. If you write a book, they get half of that. If you star in a movie, they get half of that.
Even and then, books and all that too?
Yeah. Sponsorship.
Hey.
If you get sponsored by Samsung, they get half of that.
That is crazy.
They get half of all your income, and then for your show money, they're kind enough to let you only have to pay them 30%, so that you get to keep 70%. But my argument is, if the label's not booking you the shows and they're not putting you on the tours, why should they get 30% of the cut? It just doesn't make sense to me. And of course, their argument is, well, we made you a star, so you couldn't have gotten the shows if we didn't do our job. But that's your job. Like, that's what a record label is supposed to do. You're supposed to build somebody to be famous enough where they can make money from their art form.
Right. Well, they say units are not selling like they used to. That's why they have to put out the 360 deals now, because the physical CDs are not selling like they used to when Busta and Redman and...
cut the budget. So I totally get that, but they cut the budget. So they said CDs aren't selling, so we can't put $1 million into marketing you anymore. We can only put $500,000 into marketing you. Okay, so you're cutting the budget and you're getting a bigger cut on the back end too. It just seems excessively greedy to me. But then I'm pro artist, so you know, maybe I'm wrong. But my attitude has been, there's just no reason to do a deal. You know, for the clients that I've worked with, it's been easier for them to find investors than it is to find a record deal. And then once they find an investor, they can work out their own split with the investor. But the joy of that is they get complete control over where that money's spent, because it's their investor, so they get to say where the money's going to go.
Right.
And there's so many people out here that know how to work records that you can hire somebody to help you with the marketing and promotion. You don't need a record label anymore.
Online distribution now, TuneCore, CD Baby, there's so many outlets.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then the streaming is taking over a lot as well.
It sure is. If you're not signed to a label, streaming money is really good money.
A lot of people argue about Spotify. They say Spotify don't pay you that much. But I'm like, at least you're getting something.
That's because they're in a record deal. You've never heard an independent artist say that Spotify doesn't pay them enough. If you're in a record deal, I agree, because the label, your deal is the label only has to pay you 12 to 15% of the income after you recoup, and most artists don't recoup. So when they get streamed on Spotify, they're not seeing any money. But when you're independent and you're streaming on Spotify, you're getting all of that income.
Right.
You're getting 100% of that income, and then you split it with your investor, whatever your agreement is. And it could be 25-75, where, you keep 75 and give the investor 25%, or it could be 50-50. It just really depends on your leverage.
Right. And where it keeps coming up, leverage. That's important. That's important.
Everywhere in life.
That's the key right there.
Yeah, leverage is key.
So basically, the artists need to go ahead and start their own fan base.
Yeah.
Get their own fan base going.
That's where the money is. If you can build your own fan base, that's what's going to convince an investor or a label, if you want to go that route. That's what's going to convince them, because if you've got, 20,000 people that are willing to pay money to see you perform and pay money to stream your music or pay money to download your music or pay money to buy your T-shirts, that shows them that with your limited resources, you found people that will financially support you. And if there's 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 people willing to support you, then as they put you out internationally and put a real budget behind you, there's going to be millions of people willing to support you.
Wow.
It becomes a mathematical equation.
Right, exactly. And I noticed you mentioned T-shirts and, leaning towards merchandise. And,
Yeah.
I always, the artists that, we deal with over at Ground Up Radio, we support the independent artists as much as we do major label artists. But I always, people always talk to me and ask, Q, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I say, hey, look, you got to get some merchandise. Do you feel so? Obviously, you definitely feel that's important for somebody that's going out doing shows
I'm actually wearing a Trouble T-shirt right now. It's a phrase from one of his songs. It says, can't get involved too deeply. It's the beginning of a song he has called Ready, and he took that phrase and he put it on T-shirts. And the funny thing is, there are kids buying it off of the internet who aren't even Trouble fans, but they see that and they're like, "Wow, can't get involved too deeply. I like that. That's my motto. I'm gonna buy that and rock it."
That's something. And it's crazy that you just said that they're not even Trouble fans, but they like the words so much. And
exactly.
I'm glad you're saying it. Yeah, I'm glad you're saying that, Wendy, because we want these artists to soak all that up and get out there. Just because you made your music, if you're a trap rapper, and necessarily like you might have some fans that are not into trap, but you got a phrase that can plug into. There you go. There's money right there.
Or you have a song that resonates with them, about struggle.
Right.
Like everybody can relate to struggle. So you might make a song as a trap rapper talking about struggle. And in the song, you're really talking about running from the cops and having to, move your operation around and switch burner phones. But in the song, you're not saying that. You're talking about struggle. And then some kid who's in college struggling on his midterms or struggling to get through his finals is like, man, that's my jam. Like,
right. That's the power of this music, though, Wendy.
That's the power of music, yes. Yes. Yes.
And the power of the internet, man. The internet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that too, definitely. So speaking of the internet, Wendy, you got a few sites that you're up on.
I got a little gangster with it this year. What really happened, guys? Like the truth behind this is, in August, I was online and I was like dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum, just searching, and I saw a website that was teaching artists how to get a record deal. And I wrote a book a couple years ago about how to get a record deal. So the truth is out there. Like the information of how to really get a deal and build leverage is out there. You can find it. So I pull up this website, and whoever this guy is, I don't even know who he is. Like, I've never heard of him before in my life. And I've been doing this like 25 years, right? And this guy is saying, you got to get your demo together, and then you got to pay to take a meeting at a record label. And then once you meet with them, you spend like $5,000, and then you can get a deal. And I'm like, wait a minute, for 25 years, I don't know anybody who's been able to get a deal like that. And it really pissed me off. So, there's a lot of shit in the world that pisses me off, and I look the other way, and that's what I did. I was like, hey, whatever, fuck it. Let the buyer beware. Anybody who falls for this is stupid anyway. And then I got an email from this kid in New York, in Long Island, and he said, wow, Wendy, I just paid this guy, and he's somebody who's pretty well known in the music industry, and I won't blow him up here, but he's somebody that inside the industry we know that he's kind of full of shit, but everybody knows who he is, and we tolerate him because he's likable, and he knows a lot of people, and he's been doing this a long time. And this kid sent this guy, I guess a couple $1,000s to evaluate his music and he got burned. And he's like, I got scammed. I'm so upset. And I'm like, wow, that really sucks. And then that week, I got emails from 2 other people who asked me if the guy's site was legit, who hadn't gotten burned yet. So what I did was the 2 guys who were coming up who hadn't gotten burned, I put them in touch with the guy who did get burned. That way it wasn't me saying don't do it. It was somebody who got burned saying, hey, here's what happened to me. And I'm guessing, this may happen to you too. If it doesn't, great, but this is what happened to me. So they ended up not getting burned out of a couple $1,000s. And I'm like, man, I got to be able to do this bigger. Like, what if these guys hadn't emailed me and it happened to be all within a 10-day period? Well, what if that hadn't happened? And I'm like, you know what? I got to go online and help educate these kids. So I happened to mention it to Jordan Tower, and Jordan is a guy who was a filmmaker. He was a big video guy back in the 90s and the 2000s. Yeah, and I saw that he was doing some stuff online, and he said to me, he has a YouTube channel, and he said, come to my house. I'm going to set up a YouTube channel for you, and you can post videos, and you can talk about, like, all the frauds. And I'm like, you know what, even better, you set up the account for me and show me how to do it, and I'll just teach them how to do it themselves, and they won't need to pay anybody. They won't need to get ripped off. I said, and I can beat their price because I'll do it for fucking free. And Jordan's like, I love to come over. So I went to his house. He set up the account for me. He showed me how to record. He showed me, like, really basic how to edit. And I mean really basic because, I do no editing. It's just too time-consuming. And now I drop 3 videos a week, and then I go live every Wednesday night so artists can call me, and not call me, but they can tune in, and they can ask me. They can say, hey, Wendy, is such and such in the industry legitimate? And, of course, I won't blow anybody up publicly, but I will reach back out to them privately and give them my input. Unless somebody's an extreme douchebag, then of course I'm going to blow them up publicly. But for the most part, rather than see somebody get jerked, I answer their question in a way where they can do it themselves so that they don't need to hire the person who is not legitimate.
Yeah, got it.
Wow.
So what's the name of your YouTube channel? I mean, I'll subscribe to it.
This is Wendy Day.
This is Wendy Day. You gotta make sure go view, subscribe, share. You gotta do that.
You've gotta subscribe to it, because here's what I found, that if you don't subscribe and you don't have your notifications up when I go live, it's really hard to find. I go live every Wednesday, and I'm in my 14th week. This Wednesday coming up will be 15. So when you Google Wendy Day Live, you get like 14 episodes that come up, and if you're not there every week, you don't know which one is this week's. So it's a little confusing. And then I've also archived them at rapjewels.com.
Rapjewels.com.
For free.
For free, possibly.
And I'll take it a step further, like, for the folks who really tune in and watch them, if they either ask, if there's a question that comes up a lot, I'll make a video about it. There was a producer who hit me last week and said, I see that you've answered questions about producers, but you never made a video about producers. And I thought to myself, yeah, I have. And then I went over to Rap Jewels and I looked, and I'm like, oh my God, I never did a video for producers.
That's what
So this past week, I posted a video for producers.
Flawless, yes. Flawless, go get on there, brother.
Really?
Exactly. I had a question for producers. How do producers get paid today? Because I see I'm a producer myself, and
yep, it's in the video.
It's in the video.
It's absolutely in the video. Yep.
I appreciate that. For free. And this information is for free. Y'all guys better jump on this.
Yep,
this is crazy.
Free. And then I've also started a podcast because I learned that there's a lot of people out there who have real jobs, and they can't just sit and watch videos at their job. So they can put like a headset on for their phone.
Exactly.
Like,
I love it.
An earpiece, and they can sit there and listen to the podcast. So I've also started a podcast series which is called Raponomics, and it's on iTunes.